Hello guys, and welcome back to Reading Club. So today I'm going to read you Daisy and the Trouble with Life, Chapter 11 to Chapter 15. Chapter 11. I'm so sorry. Chapter 11. The trouble with loo rolls is they always run out when you don't want them to. When I ran to the loo the first time last night, I went past Mom's bedroom really quietly. That way, she wouldn't know the dip-dap germs had got me. And that way, in the morning, I could pretend there never were any germs on the dip-dap. So then, Mom would feel really bad about telling me off in the first place. So would Nanny and Grampy and Auntie Sue and Mrs. Pike and Tiptoes. Trouble is, when I turned the light on in the bathroom, the loo roll was all gone, apart from the cardboard bit in the middle. And I couldn't use that because, well, I couldn't. And anyway, I always save that bit for Gabby's hamster. Gabby's hamster loves eating empty loo rolls, so I had no choice. Mom, there's no loo roll, I had to shout. Wake up, I need some loo roll, I had to shout again. The trouble with shouting when someone's asleep is they don't always hear you. So then you have to shout louder and louder and kick the side of the bath with your feet too. Mom! Mom! The dip-dap germs had got me! I got tummy trouble! Help! I had to shout at the top of my voice. The trouble with waking my mom up is she doesn't really like it. The trouble with waking my mom up when she's in a bad mood is she really doesn't like it. I can tell because usually when there's something wrong with me in the night, my mom pretends to keep her eyes open and rubs my back. But not last night, at least not when she came into the bathroom the first time. The first time she came to see me, she folded her arms and tapped her toes on the bathroom floor and said, You see, Daisy, you see what happens when you turn into a human dustbin. I told you tummy trouble was brewing. Goodness knows how many germs you are on that Ollie. Luckily, we had some more loo rolls in the bathroom cupboard. Mom bought them yesterday before she went to the butcher's. Trouble is, there are only 12 loo rolls in a pack. Ooh, no. Yes, no, yes. Not sure. See you in a minute. Ah! Chapter 12. Phew. Good news at last. I didn't have to open loo roll number 11. In fact, I didn't have to go to the loo at all, which means I must be getting better. Which is a good job because the trouble with brand new loo rolls is they can be really tricky to open. A bit like cheese triangles. Once when I was hungry, I tried to make my own picnic, but I couldn't get the cheese out of the triangle at all. Until I squeezed it really hard with both hands. And then all the cheese squished out of one end and over my fingers. Mom says cheese triangles are really easy to open when you know how. That's the trouble with grown-ups. They know everything. At least they think they do. I got most of the cheese out in the end, but it didn't look anything like a triangle. Which made me really cross because triangles are my favorite shape. Then circles, then squares. I didn't fancy the cheese after that. So in the end, I just ate the bread. The trouble with bread is my mom never lets me cut it myself. She says I'll have an accident with the big knife and chop all my fingers off. Then I'll have to make a finger sandwich instead of a cheese sandwich because good fingers shouldn't go to waste. Anyway, how could I pick up a finger sandwich if all my fingers were inside the sandwich? She hadn't thought of that, has she? The only thing I'm allowed to cut in our house are craft papers and Play-Doh with the red scissors. I did cut Gabby's hair once when I was around her house, but she made me do it. It was definitely her idea, not mine. The trouble with Gabby's hair is it fidgets a lot. So even if you're a really good hairdresser, it comes out wrong. Gabby quite liked it from the front, but her mom only saw it from the back. Playing hairdressers is banned in Gabby's house now. So are any games with scissors. The trouble with playing around Gabby's house is she knows all the best places to hide. Whenever she says, Coming, ready or not. I'm never ready because I'm still looking for a good place to hide. I used to hide under her bed, but she kept finding me, and now it's the same when I hid behind our lounge curtains. Trouble is, whenever I say, coming ready or not, I can never find her anywhere. Not even when I've counted to 100 in tens instead of ones. Last time we played hide and seek at Gabby's house, I was looking for her for ages. In the end, I had to give up, and guess where she was? In the laundry basket with all the smelly socks. I told her that was cheating because I would never hide in a smelly place like that, and so it didn't count and she had to hide again. So she did, and then I couldn't find her again. Even her mom couldn't find her. That's because Gabby wasn't in the house. She was in the shed, which is cheating too. The trouble with people who cheat at hide and seek is they never admit it. Especially Gabby. Sometimes if she's been really cheating a lot, I tell her I'm never going to play with her again. Trouble is, she always shares her sweets with me, and she's always a really good friend too. It was Gabby who taught me how to jump up and down on the sofa and shout, "How's a cold pat?" At the same time. The first time we did it around our house on our mom's big leather sofa. Now we do it on my sofa too, only when my mom's not looking though. Actually, thinking about it, maybe I should have a little bounce on our sofa right now, just to see if I really am getting better. I'll do it extra quietly and I'll whisper, "How's a cold pat?" instead of shouting it, just in case Mom hears. Why don't you have a go on your sofa too? This is how Gabby and me do it. Chapter 13. 20 whooping bounces and 10 how's a cold pats without laughing. That's really good. Gabby can never do more than 6 how's a cold pats without laughing. The trouble with laughing is it can make lemonade come out of your nose. Not when you're doing how's a cold pats. When you're in restaurants. Once, when me and Gabby were at Pizza Heaven with my mom, Gabby stuck 2 marshmallow flumps in her ears and pulled a really funny face. Trouble is, I'd only just taken a drink of my lemonade, so when I laughed, my lemonade didn't go down the right hole. It went up all the wrong holes instead. Then my nose started fizzling and my eyes started watering and my mouth started choking. Well, sort of choking and laughing at the same time, which is a really hard thing to do. In the end, my mom had to call a waitress to help her pat me on the back. They made me stand up at the table in front of anybody. The trouble with someone patting you on the back is, if they don't do it hard enough, it doesn't do any good at all. And if they do it too hard, it makes you sound like a seal. No one had ever heard a seal in Pizza Heaven before, so everyone stopped eating their pizzas and looked at me. Then Gabby got 2 dough balls and pretended my eyes had popped out and fallen onto the table, which made me laugh even more, and choke and splutter. In the end, the managers came out and took me to the toilets and made me drink a lot of water out of the tap. Mom had to rub my back for about 10 minutes before we could go back to our table. Flumps are banned when we get to Pizza Heaven now, and dough balls. We're still allowed lemonade, but only if we don't blow bubbles with our straws. Which reminds me, I need to drink some more water. Mom says if I drink lots of water today, it'll help flush all the dip-dap germs away. Back in a minute. Chapter 14. Have you ever blown bubbles in your lemonade with a straw? It sort of still works with water and it's quite good at milk, but lemonade's the best. I tried to do it in a really thick milkshake once, but my mom told me to stop being silly. The trouble with being silly is it can give you scabs. Not silly with straws, silly with skipping ropes. At school the other day, Gabby and I were doing skipping with Liberty Pierce, except we weren't doing the skipping, Liberty was. Gabby and me were doing the rope. Anyway, Liberty said she was the best skipper in the school, and she said she was the fastest. So Gabby and I went faster with the rope because we thought Liberty wanted us to. But when we switched to super speed, Liberty wasn't ready, so her legs got caught up in the rope and she fell over and scraped her knees. And she made holes in her tights and she got scraps. Mrs. Donovan said that Gabby and I had been very silly with the rope and that Liberty wasn't a kangaroo and couldn't possibly jump that fast or high. We had to write, "We will not be silly with skipping ropes," 10 times on a piece of paper during the morning break the next day. Another time, Gabby and me were silly with a hose pipe in my garden. No one got scabs, but we did get told off by Mrs. Pike. It was a really hot day and Mom had got the paddling pool out of the shed for Gabby and me to play in. The trouble with peddling pools is you have to blow them up with a pump. Trouble was, Mom couldn't find her pump, so she had to do it with her mouth. So while she was huffing and puffing and blowing, Gabby and me said we'd water the garden. Well, we never actually said we'd water the garden, we just did it, while Mom wasn't looking. First of all, we water the flowers because they looked really hot. Then we water the grass, which is going a bit brown. Then we watered the shed, which is really brown. Then we watered Tiptoes. The trouble with watering Tiptoes is he's a cat, which means he doesn't like it. Which isn't our fault, because when we watered him, he looked like he really wants to be watered. I mean, he was right in a really hot bit of sun, all stretched out, not moving even a little bit. Me and Gabby thought he was dying of thirst, so we thought he really needed some water. Then when the water went on him, he wasn't still anymore. He jumped up and went higher than a kangaroo, right over the wall and back into Mrs. Pike's garden. Then Mrs. Pike poked her head over the wall and looked at me and Gabby with a cross face and said, "Who did that to Tiptoes? He's soaked!" The trouble with holding hose pipes is people can always tell which one did the squirting. So I let go. The trouble with letting go off hose pipes is you can't tell which way they're going to squirt, which isn't your fault. Mom said it was my fault, though. When I squirted her and made her dress all wet, she said playing with the hose pipe was a very silly thing to do. So did Mrs. Pike. I think that's why Tiptoes stay on the wall a lot of the time now. Anyway, Mom was so wet she nearly didn't keep on blowing. But then she said that at least if Gabby and I were in the paddling pool, she would know where we were and what we were up to. We weren't allowed to put the water in the paddling pool after that, only Mom was. The trouble with paddling pool water is it always gets dead bees floating on it. Gabby says dead bees can still sting you, so you have to splash them out. The trouble with splashing dead bees out of your paddling pool is it makes all the water go on the grass. After 3 bees, we only had a centimeter left. Mom filled the paddling pool up again for us, but said there would be no more after that. She said that water is precious and that if we use too much in our paddling pool, all the oceans will go down, including Mrs. Pike's pond, which will be bad news for Freddie. So the next time we got a bee in our water, Gabby tried to splish it out instead of splash it out. Splishes are smaller than splashes. Trouble is, she splished the dead bee onto her arm. If a dead bee stings you on the arm, your whole body can fall off, so Gabby went a bit loopy. Luckily, it fell off her arm onto the grass, so we managed to trap it under the big red bucket. Gabby said she was really lucky to be alive, and if her whole body had fallen off, she would never have been able to ride her new bike again. Already skipping, Mom brought the towels out after that. Hang on, where is Mom? I can't hear her in the kitchen, and I can't hear her upstairs. Maybe she's in the garden? I'll just go and see. Chapter 15. Thought so. Mom's in the garden, hanging up the washing. She's always does the washing on Saturday afternoon. She says if she does the washing on Saturdays, we can start the week with clean towels. The trouble with clean towels is they never stay clean for long, at least not in our house. Mom says that the towels would stay clean a bit longer if I got all the dirt off before I dried myself. She says dirt doesn't wash itself off. It has to be rubbed or scrubbed off. 1 rub for normal dirt, 3 rubs for mud, 5 rubs for grass stains and about 273 scrubs for snake poo. I'm not joking. If you get snake poo on you, you are in big trouble. Believe me, I know. The trouble with snake poo isn't so much the look of it, it's the stink of it. It stings like 100 stink bombs. And if it squirts on you, you'll never get it off. And that's just with a little snake, like Dylan Reeves. Imagine if it was a massive python or something. Imagine the stink then. Dylan Reeves lives 3 doors away at number 38. He's 2 years older than me, but sometimes he asks me around to play. He's really good at Dylan's. His mom and dad have got a hot tub in their back garden and asparagus. Dylan's bedroom is the best. He's got his own telly in it and a PlayStation, and he used to have a snake called Shooter. Shooter was a Colorado garter snake. He wasn't very long, about as long as from my fingers to my elbow, and he was short of light brown with a stripy crisscrossy pattern. He lived in Dylan's bedroom, in a tank with a really bright light and heat pads under the sawdust. Most of the time, I just looked at him through the glass, but one day, Dylan let me hold him. I wasn't scared or anything. Dylan thought I would be, but I wasn't. I've always wanted to hold a snake. But the trouble with holding snakes is, without telling you or anything, they can poo on you just like that. That's what Shooter did to me. I had only been holding him for about a minute. I was looking at his tongue going in and out when he suddenly started to wiggle. I tried to stop him from wiggling, but Dylan said I must have squeezed him too hard. Anyway, he pulled all over my hands. That's when I dropped him. The trouble with dropping snakes is they are 10 times worse than hose pipes. At least, hose pipes stay still at one end. Snakes don't. They don't stay still at either end. They just wriggle across the carpet really fast and then disappear out of the door. That's the last time we saw Shooter. At least, that was the last time we saw his face. Dylan saw his tail disappear down a crack between some upstairs floorboards. That by the time his dad put the floorboard up with a big hammer, he was gone. We did find 5 pens and a paper clip, though. Dylan was really upset. He'd only had Shooter a month. I was even more upset. I had snake poo all over me. Dylan's dad said it wasn't poo, it was musk. He says it's the same sort of thing the skunks spray on people when they feel threatened. That made me feel even worse. Now I had skunk poo on me. I said sorry to Dylan for dropping a snake and went home after that. My mom said she could smell me when I walked through the kitchen door, and when I made her smell my hand, she nearly fainted. It took a whole bar of soap, some washing up liquid, some disinfectant, and a dishwasher tablet to get the smell off. Plus, I rubbed all the fluff off 2 towels. Next time I saw Dylan, I asked him if he found Shooter. He said he hadn't, but he hadn't given up looking. He said the central heating pipes under the floorboards might act like heat pads and keep him warm, so Shooter still might be okay. Dylan sleeps under his bed in a sleeping bag now. That way he can sleep with his ear pressed to the floor. That way if Shooter wiggles back in the night, Dylan will hear him. I hope he finds Shooter one day, stinky or not. Oh dear, I just gurgled. Oh dear, I just gurgled again. Now then, are those germ gurgles or hungry gurgles? I'm going to run to the loo just in case. Back in a minute. Well, that's the end of this channel. If you liked it, please click many likes and subscribe Reading Club. Well, I'll come back tomorrow with a new and improved channel. Bye, everybody.